Hey, Rob Pincus here. I'm up at Blackwing Shooting Center, kind of my home range here, Delaware, Ohio, just outside of Columbus, teaching a defensive firearms coach course today. It's our 3-day introductory level instructor development course, and primarily we deal with handguns, home defense, and intro to concealed carry. But today I want to talk about ARs. Right now there's a lot of people out there, wishing they could buy an AR. Maybe they're wishing they could add an AR to their collection, and they just simply aren't on the shelves. Even here at Blackwing, about a month ago, maybe several weeks ago, I came in and the only AR they had was an M&P 1522. I picked that up. I talked a little bit about using the 22 for training and why it may be a good thing to have in your collection. The fact is that if you wanted to look at some of those top tier brand ARs, the ones that are, not the most expensive ones, maybe the fancy kind of maybe even over-engineered ones, but the ones that are the go-to reliable guns. There's ones in the $1,200 to $1,600 price range that we know are going to be reliable, that are going to give you the features you want and need in a good home defense, practical gun, and you're going to be able to use and enjoy for a long time. They may not be available. Right now the industry is kind of in a crazy place. Back orders, long delays to get guns in, and the prices have obviously gone up for the ones that are available, and there's a lot of them on the used market that they're being offered at if you want to pay it, if you want the gun today, I guess they're fair prices, but they're definitely higher than they would have been 3 months ago. I'm Daniel Defense, everybody knows I'm associated with those guys, do some videos with those guys. They're sponsors of the Personal Defense Network Training Tour again this year. They're my go-to gun. Reliable guns, fairly priced. They're just right there in that ballpark. And this is actually the upper from my go-to gun at the house, and the one I use a lot in training and demos and stuff when I'm on the road, attached to what is not my first choice in lower, quite honestly. This is essentially the evolution of the GWACS Polymer Lower. It's the second generation, dramatically improved. I really like a lot of the features here and the way it's changed. It's the GWACS gun, GWACS. What's interesting with this is I would not have looked at this very seriously 3 months ago. I wouldn't really have considered it. I had one of the original first generation guns. I actually gave it as a gift to one of the guys that worked for me as a range assistant at the Valhalla Training Center. He enlisted in the Army. I gave him that gun. Great starter gun, but it isn't the kind of thing I would run out and look for. Well, a good friend of mine in the industry, Chris Collins, well-known instructor, you may know him from Top Shot Season 3, I think. He actually recently went to work with these guys, and he said, "Hey Rob, check these out." And I said, sure, I'll check it out. But it wasn't until this kind of fluctuation in the industry market where I really said, hey, now is a good time for me to check this out, because you guys are shipping these. That's the cool thing. This lower stripped is available pretty much right away with population, with all the parts installed. It's available, I think, within a week or two. You have to check with current availability with those guys. But you can have a lower at a very reasonable price that you can attach to an upper. Uppers are easier to find right now than lowers. You can have a good populated lower that works, that's reliable, that's comfortable, that's ergonomically efficient. The magwell on this is a big improvement over the earlier magwell on the cav arms deal. So here's a way to put a gun together that works, that's available today at a very fair price, where you aren't paying $2,500, $3,000 for a base level gun. If you've got the upper, great. If not, you go out and you find the upper and you've got a lower that works. Of course, you could buy the stripped one and install the parts yourself. I was actually, I had this lower sitting around the house in the safe in the collection. This has my company logo on it, but it's an all-star tactical lower. I got this, I don't know, a year ago, maybe a little more than that, and just hadn't bothered to put it together. Now, under the circumstances, with the kind of the crunch in the industry, everybody thinking about ARs and AR parts and availability, I was sitting there during the Super Bowl, not terribly a big fan of football, but I'm a big fan of ARs, so I was sitting there at the table, eating some nachos or whatever, and I also went ahead and put together this lower because I had a parts kit laying around, and I thought, okay, it's time to do that. So I went ahead and put this together. Refresher course for me, I hadn't put a lower together in a while, so it's always fun to do. It's relatively easy to do. There's plenty of online guidance you can get. You can get to an armorer's class, you can get with a friend of yours that understands ARs and knows how to put them together, and put that AR together. So All-Star Tactical is actually shipping some lowers this month. They're back ordered like everybody else, but they're getting a big shipment in. I was just talking with Mike Santola, the owner of the company. They're shipping lowers this month. So more and more you're going to be able to find these stripped lowers and put them together. Palmetto State Armory. I was told a couple weeks ago that Palmetto State Armory was selling complete lower kits at a very fair price and delivering pretty quickly. So I went ahead, just like you would, and through straight retail, gave them my credit card number, just used the online ordering system. In a little less than 2 weeks, boom, the parts kit showed up. And it wasn't just this bag of stuff. It was a complete Magpul Mo kit. So it was the stock and everything else I would need to put a gun together with all the little pieces, parts as well. And again, you can go out and get that knowledge. With this parts kit and a regular lower, or what I'm going to actually add to this lower, is this stock. I honestly don't even know what brand or who makes this. Doesn't really matter. You know, if you're trying to put together your first gun and you don't want to pay $3,000, you don't want to wait 6 months, beggars can't be choosers, right? So came into Blackwing Shooting Center in $69.99. I got the buffer, the spring, the tube, the stock, adjustable stock, collapsible stock, and that obviously I'll get my wrench out, put all this together, throw an upper on it, boom, I've got an AR. So yeah, it's not great times right now. Honestly, if you have 5 or 6 or 7 ARs in your safe, in your collection, you probably don't need to run out and buy a 7th. Honestly, you're probably only keeping some of the guys that are trying to buy their first AR from being able to get one if you run out and do that. But if you are trying to buy your first gun, you don't need to mortgage the house to do it. You don't need to wait forever. There are probably some alternatives. You get creative and you do some do-it-yourself work. And then, you know, of course, always, if it's going to be a home defense gun, if you're going to go, you want to go take a class with it, go train with it. You want to check it for reliability, all that kind of stuff. You want to make sure you put it together properly and safely. Go through an armorer's course, get the instruction, make sure you have the knowledge. But the pieces, parts are starting to become more and more available. So it's a weird time in the industry. I think within a year we're going to kind of see the correction. We're going to be hopefully sooner rather than later, 4, 5, 6 months from now, start to see things normalize. In the meantime, you might want to take a look at some of the not top tier alternatives that you can get at a relatively quick time frame and you can get for a reasonable price today. The market isn't what it was 4 or 5, 6 months ago, and it's going to give you the opportunity to check out some alternatives that you might not have taken seriously last fall.